The question is whether the Iraq War was a moral war or whether it was a type of war that was based on mistake. Um, and in context of this, I have to mention sort of like the two aspects that happened uh, due to the main reasons of the war. First of all, there was this Gulf War that happened in 1991. One of the main reasons why Iraq invaded Kuwait was um, because Iraq had some war going on with Iran from the 80s, and the debt was basically building up. So because Kuwait didn't want to delete the debt, then that's one of the main argument that Iraq went to war with Kuwait, basically, to kind of not having to pay the debt, basically. So, and that's also one of the reasons for a war, in a sense, because of resources. You can actually compare that to the Nazis in terms of, I mean, not the ideology, but the reason why they went to war. For example, with Germany, the reason why they, for example, attacked Russia was because of the sanctions, and basically because you kind of get sanctioned and your oil is kind of not really going well, so the best way was to just attack it at a certain time and just get the oil before, so that your ideology didn't die down in a sense. But that's just one comparison to the nature of war. Um, but overall, that's the context, is because Saudi Arabia and Kuwait was basically part of Saudi Arabia, and basically because Saudi Arabia is kind of an ally to the United States, then they were obliged to help because that's what allies do in a sense. So basically that's also the problem is um, once you kind of get allies, you kind of are obliged to help them, but then on one hand, you kind of do wonder whether you should do it or not, because is it really that worth, you know, aiding, in terms of Wahhabism and the whole ideology of strict religious culture, that Saudi Arabia is practicing, uh, and uh, and also there's this whole 9/11 that happened, which two suspects was sort of argued um, that kind of practiced terrorism, that was either Pakistan or Afghanistan, and most likely the target was Afghanistan because that's where United States kind of practiced the Mujahideen to fight against the communists of Russia back then. So in the end, it will bite them in the ass because they essentially um, kind of built up to that. For example, in 1993, there was this World Trade Center bomb attempt that failed, that tried to blow up the World Trade Center, but it failed. So it wasn't successful till 2001 with the plane hijack, and yeah, you know the rest of the story from 2001. So basically, they had some two targets here. It was, first of all, in 2001, it was trying to reclaim Afghanistan to kind of neutralize the terrorist training recruitment of political jihadism, and then on the other hand, you had the less favorable war, which was Iraq War, which was in 2003. And so basically, uh, the main reason you could argue is they try to say that it was weapons of mass destruction, but I do think that was just an excuse to invade it. I think it was more or less just because since the United States kind of had this idea of trying to control the basically sort of the idea of what they considered a terrorists in terms of allies. I guess because the United States didn't have like much room for Iraq after the Gulf War, then I guess they just decided to put that one in there, in a sense. And so that's probably why they just decided to invade it, because of the Gulf War incident. I don't think they would have done that if it wasn't for the Gulf War, really. Now the question is, was it moral? In reality, I don't think so. I don't think it was moral, because it's not like, because I mean, a war sucks, but I don't think that should be enough warrant to kind of invade. I mean, I just think it was. It seems like some kind of thing that you're stuck with, because on one hand you have allies to the Saudi Arabia that the United States supports, and on the other hand you have Iraq that kind of isn't like hugely Wahhabist in terms of culture. And so what are you supposed to do really? So yeah, it just seems like kind of a system that they were stuck with, and they just chose to just eliminate it, and that's it, because they kind of just thought it was easier to do it at that time. And yeah, I don't know, but yeah, morally I don't think it was moral at all. I just think it was more for establishment purposes of kind of helping the just kind of, I guess, put them at ease in terms of neighbors and such. But you know, I guess that didn't work out in 2014 when ISIS kind of rose. So you know, but they did get stopped though. So there's that. But when Trump got elected, but honestly, it's a yeah. In the end, I don't think it was moral at all. I just think it was something of an establishment thing. So I just think they just had no choice. They just did it because they are allied to Saudi Arabia, and they kind of just did it, you know, because it's easier to control, and that's why. But yeah, in overall, I don't think it was a moral war really. I just think it was more for the purpose of having allies and knowing that you backed them up, and they didn't think that Iraq was kind of a reliable ally really, and that's why they invaded. So, but morally, I don't think it was a moral war really. So, I did buy American Sniper though, because I do the movie at least. I mean, some criticize it a little bit of glorifying the Iraq War, but I'm not sure if it does really glorify it, because there is some I do feel there's some anti-war sentiment in that movie, but I guess the criticism is more whether the character it kind of bases on Chris Kyle, because they say that the way that he describes in the book is more of an asshole, but in the movie it's more of a sympathetic guy, and I guess that's where they kind of don't like it, but and they feel it's more of a propaganda movie, but yeah, I just want to see it just to see it really. But yeah, I do think in the end I don't think there was a moral war really in terms of their reason for going there. I just think it was more of an it just seemed like some kind of establishment reasons and not so much a moral reason. I mean, it will be different if let's say if it was a national security reason, like let's say they wanted to kind of I don't know. I mean, I think Iran would have been more appropriate, because that one has more of a history of supporting state terrorism. But Iraq was just more of an establishment. Hey, that's kind of a threat to Saudi Arabia, so let's just eliminate it. I don't know. I mean, I don't hate Iranian either. I just think, I guess I just don't really like the whole Hezbollah or Hamas, or the kind of terrorism kind of state-sponsored one, I guess. But yeah, I do like the history of Persia, at least, if that makes sense. But yeah, the point is, yeah, in the retrospective, I think trying to eliminate Iraq, I just yeah, it comes more across as an establishment thing and not so much a popular thing. I mean, you kind of got to wonder whether it's the people who run the country or whether it's a two-party system, really, because yeah, it does seem like the two-party system is a problem in the United States, but that doesn't mean Europe is better, because there is definitely some problem there. But that doesn't mean that you should believe authoritarians who kind of patronize, you know, like Russia or China or those countries, you know, in terms of patronizing that, you know, we should just let one guy rule and don't have multi-party system and don't have elections, national elections. That's not good either. But yeah, you gotta have some kind of decentralized government that kind of that at least have some purpose of trying to be engaged in politics. And I think centralized one is worse. But yeah, let me know what you think. I'm just gonna make a video on it, and you can discuss it. And thank you for listening, and bye.